We're still months away from when the final debt ceiling drop dead day will be. At the State of the Union, in addition to basically getting a pledge from the Republicans that they weren't going to touch Social Security and Medicare, Biden also said, bring me your plan, and then we can talk about plans to, ostensibly make cuts in the budget. And they're running out of things to cut. Mm-hmm. Because, as you know, they claim that Social Security and Medicare are off the table, which it appears that it is, at least for the time being. And now it's being reported that the Republican senators in the Senate are saying to Republican members in the House, don't cut defense, even your so-called woke cuts to defense. And frankly,
I'd like to just cut the trillions of woke stuff.
Yeah, I personally, I am very much down with the cutting of defense. I don't think that there's going to be that much woke stuff that they find. So if they've got to do some of the non-woke stuff, I'm okay with that. That would be a good thing. But the bottom line is, there's increasingly less and less that the Republicans can come to the table with and pretend that they want cut. Here is Rick Scott still basically saying, I am not for cutting Social Security and Medicare, except for I think we should put it in a position to be cut. And why? Because, I don't know.
This is a bold stance to take as the senator from Florida, where there are a lot of retirees.
Well, he is vying for a bigger job, I think.
Congress ought to tell you how they're going to preserve Medicare and Social Security that are going bankrupt. Now, they say, if I said in there we ought to review programs every 5 years. They said somehow that's a cut. Well, you know what? What do we do on defense? There's no 40-year plan for defense. There's no 100-year plan for defense. Every year we go through the defense budget. So if you don't support a 100-year defense plan, you must be cutting defense every year. So this is disingenuous. I don't believe that we should ever be reducing Medicare or Social Security benefits. But guess what? $31.5 trillion worth of debt. When we get to $45 trillion of debt, is somebody going to take this stuff seriously? Say, how do we preserve these programs?
What are we supposed to take? What is guess what supposed to be? I don't want to cut Social Security and Medicare, but guess what?
Yeah.
We'll
be forced to.
We're going to have to.
And the big elephant in the room is that you could just maintain all of these programs with ease if you were to raise taxes. But that's not anything that he would consider.
No. And neither the rest of the Republican caucus. They will not raise taxes. And the idea that you need to reauthorize this every 5 years, again, by doing nothing, it could go away. And then they'd say, I didn't vote against it. I just didn't vote for it. We just didn't bring it up for a vote. Here is Mitch McConnell, however, who is in a battle with Rick Scott. You will notice he is not standing behind Mitch McConnell here. And McConnell is arguing we're not going to do anything on Social Security and Medicare, which is true because they won't raise taxes.
We've been talking a lot about Rick Scott's plan and how it's not the Republican plan. At this point, would you like to see him disavow the plan, or how do you move forward as a party with the White House using this against you?
Well, one more time, let's talk about Social Security. As you recall, there was some confusion last year about what the agenda of the Republican Senate might be if we were in the majority. And I made it quite clear that as the likely majority leader, I had hoped at that time, Social Security and Medicare were not on our agenda, period. As you recall, this continues to come up. The president was talking about it in the State of the Union. He's taken it out to various states around the union. So let me say one more time. There is no agenda on the part of Senate Republicans to revisit Medicare or Social Security, period. I've noticed that the Speaker of the House has said the same thing. So on Social Security, it is not an issue between the parties.
I mean, this is,
I love it.
it's a big deal. And of course, McConnell's really only saying, like, right now we realize that we're not on great footing to go after Social Security and Medicare. Like, we've lost this political battle. And because we had a ding-dong out there who basically, showed too much, essentially.
Same thing happened before the election with Lindsey Graham and abortion. I was saying this before the show. This is a unique moment for Mitch McConnell. His caucus is not as in order as we've been accustomed to, I would say.
It's hard to understand, like, what Rick Scott's agenda is, unless you think back to this guy was the CEO of a company that provided a lot of Medicaid services, and I presume Medicare services. I don't know that he still has an interest in that particular company, but what happens when you cut Medicare is that someone's going to be paying the money. It's just not going to be the government. And it means that the government doesn't have the ability to depress medical expenses at all. Medicare is a depressant on these on the costs of medicine. Now, it's not enough because it only provides health insurance for a quarter of the country, maybe 15% of the country, but that's the plan. And a small cut in Medicare is going to raise the value of your healthcare interests if you are that guy.
It is a bold stance for him to take, especially if you look up Rick Scott's history with Medicare and Social Security fraud. It's just, I mean, the fact that he's decided,
51 times, was it he took the fifth?
Yeah.
Was it
Something
51
like
times?
that.
He took the fifth a lot on that for whatever reason.
So he would know about Medicare and Social Security waste and fraud.
I would imagine.
75 times.
Well, 75. That's only 25 times more.
Nice round number.
Yeah.